So, I'm feeling a little worse for wear emotionally the last couple of days while we're moving and packing and purging and having to get rid of things. And we are obviously, if you haven't been following my journey, I'm moving back to a place that represents a lot of fear and a lot of trauma for me. And I understand why the universe has brought me back to that place, because I've dealt with a lot of feeling like I could not be my big, bold, vulnerable, beautiful self over the last 20 years fully, even in my business, because I felt like the more that I grew and the more visible I was, that certain people may see me and try to take what I had built. And so a lot of it's centered from something that happened in my past, and that I felt just a lot of fear and not being able to move beyond that. And it was all centered in a place. And so I had started looking at this place as if it was something terrifying, and it was just a place on a map. And so the universe really last year started dealing with me on it and told me almost a year ago that I would be moving back there. So this whole year has really been about strengthening me and helping me to understand that I'm going to be dropped right back in this place where all these people can see me, and to prove to me that no matter what, nobody can take from me what is already mine. So I always talk about vulnerability and about sharing hard things and bearing your soul and being soul naked. And so I'm actually doing an online course on it. And so the last week or so, I've really been sharing something that was on my mind and on my heart with the people that I trust, that are in my inner circle, that I love very much. And today I felt encouraged by someone to share it in a video because it may help other people. And so I wanted to talk to you guys about regrets. There are so many things in our lives that we regret, and we think, if I had just not done that, or if I had just not said that, or if I had just not been that person, then this other person's life would have been better, or my life would have been better. And I want you to understand that you do not see both sides. You do not know what's going on in that person's life. So you do not get a full perspective on whether that thing should have happened or shouldn't have happened. So in processing this situation, which was a very large trauma between myself and someone else, and there were other people involved, but it mainly centered around myself and somebody I dated years ago. And it was neither one of our fault. It was something that was imposed upon us. And so in processing this, the other person, has a guilt and a regret. And I don't regret the way things happened. I don't have any regrets on what happened, because I didn't do anything wrong in the situation. But if I had to go back and change things, I would not. And that is because there were just as many good parts as there were awful parts. And I always laugh and tell people always want a fairy tale life or fairy tale romance or fairy tale relationship. And you do understand that there's some really traumatic parts in fairy tales. There's some awful traumatic parts in fairy tales. And so if you don't want to live through traumatic parts or trauma or something horrible, then don't wish for a fairy tale life, because the happily ever after comes after the worst things happen to you. So in the regret situation, this person had felt like he really regretted our relationship because he felt like my life would be so much better had he not been in it. But on the other hand, he didn't know what I was going through or what my plans were. So I shared it with somebody else earlier today, and I really felt compelled to talk about this because we always talk about mental health and kindness to other people because you don't know what they're going through. So I really wanted to share my side of the story without a lot of detail, but just to tell you what would have happened had this person not been in my life. The year of my life that this occurred was a very, very traumatic year for me. My father passed away, and about 3 weeks later, my best friend was killed. And he had been my best friend since I was about 3rd grade. So he was the person that I processed with. He was the person that held me together and supported me and loved me. And I didn't have him in a most traumatic time in my life. And so the next few months were very rough on me. I had a lot of family conflict. There were a lot of people not talking to me. There were a lot of family members not talking at all because of the grief and just extreme stress. I was behind in school. It was my last semester in college, and I was trying to graduate my degree and everything on time, dealing with the death of my father and the death of my best friend, who also had started college with me. So everything there reminded me of him. So I had a plan to escape. And by that, I mean I had a plan to kill myself. And I am a finisher. So I had to finish college in my mind. Even though I was just finishing college to end my life, in my mind I could not end my life before I finished college because in my mind I could not rest if that had happened. My spirit wouldn't have rested in my mind. And a spirit at unrest in my mind is like the worst thing ever. So I didn't want to be tormented in life and then be tormented in the afterlife. So I planned to graduate, do my graduation party, go home with my mom the next day to Virginia, and then within that first week I was planning to end my life. And I had a very foolproof plan, and I had planned it for 6 to 8 months, and I'm a perfectionist, so I was positive it would work. And so I had it very well thought out and very well planned. And so when this person was entering in my life, he kept telling me how much he loved me and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't believe it because I didn't believe it about myself. I didn't believe it was possible. And I also thought that he was just blowing smoke, I'll be honest with you. And I thought that it just couldn't be possible that somebody felt like that about me. So I graduated college, and that night at my graduation party, this person really sat me down and told me how he felt. And that he felt like he loved me, and that he wanted to marry me, and that we were going to have a fairy tale life together. And I believed him. For 1 second, I believed him, and I saw it, and I wanted it more than anything in life. And my plans changed in that instant. He believes now that if he had not told me those things, that this trauma that had occurred would not have happened. And he's absolutely right about that. But he believes that if this trauma had not happened, that I would have gone on and lived a very full and beautiful life, and that nothing bad would have happened to me, or at least that specific thing would not have happened to me. And he's right. That specific thing would not have happened to me. But nothing else would have happened to me either. You never know when your words and your biggest regret is something that saved somebody else's life. He has no idea that those words saved my life, even to this day. Nobody knew that those words saved my life until about a week and a half ago, when I really started to reveal that it was an important part of who I was in my recovery. And I wanted to share it so that you understand that the things in your life that you're regretting may have been what saved somebody else's life. And I just wanted to share so that you understand that what you're regretting now, you don't have the full picture. So understand that everything that you regret could be part of somebody's success story.